Thank you very much once again. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you back at this aristocratic channel of ours. And this channel is called MATRIC+ Subjects. And then today we have a privilege to look and to anticipate on this module that we are talking about, office practice. And then please ensure that this is an office practice N5. And then we've got a privilege to ensure that we are looking at the lecturer's guide. And then we have said that we are doing module 2, and this is the content coverage for N5. Please take note, bear in mind as you are watching, please subscribe to the rest, because of this is going to test 2 and even your examination in November and December. Without wasting any time, N5, I want you to listen. This is an easy stuff. You have to get a distinction at the end of the day. A question would arise from a question paper, and it would state that discuss 4 planning mechanisms available to help. These are planning mechanisms. They can help the management assistant or the secretary to structure their work. So we mean that there are aids and supporting elements which will make it easier for the management assistant to plan in terms of the mechanism. So we've got what we call a to-do list. What is it is expected for that management assistant to ensure that the flow of work is taken place and the deadline, they are met on time. Remember, you are the face of the company. And number 1, in order to ensure that your mechanisms, all the tasks that you must complete. Number 2, break large projects into the smaller tasks. Similar to an action plan, you need to take an action and you need to execute your plan. And the other aspect is that you need to ensure that you keep subdividing large tasks until each item take no more than 1 or 2 hours to complete. So the breaking down of work is very important. And then you move on again the list by assigning letters to numbers or numbers. And then we mean to say, for example, all items that have a high priority are marked with letter A. All the items that have an extremely low priority are marked with the letter F. That it can be a typical example on which letter you use, then you will choose. There is no specific letter that it is important. You continue prioritizing your to-do list using the letters as indicated, and then sort the list with the high priority task on the top of the list, because of you will need to revisit them regularly. And the other aspect, you can also create a smaller or daily version with a list of all items list every morning and create a new daily to-do list. If we are moving on, some of the low priority tasks will be carried over from to-do list to the next of the several weeks or even coming months. So we are saying those are the longer projects. Okay. And then as we are going on, as long as you do not forget about those items, there's no need to worry about them. Raise the priority level of an item. If the task has a set deadline, the list can be set up a week in advance. The list can be expanded or changed every day if it is required. And that at least you must know 10 of those. If ever we are moving task record, so we say that it is to keep a record of all tasks that have been completed or accomplished. A specific date for the completion of a task serves as a reference to say that you have done the job. And then we are saying design and forcing involved, the time it is started, and the time when it is completed, which is a deadline. Tasks that have been completed, tasks still in progress, and tasks that have not yet completed, so that you can see that where are you missing, so that you can be. Again, we've got what we call timesheet. We are saying a timesheet is divided into separate columns for time, activity, the times. All daily activities can be filled on this sheet. It is important to indicate the time spent on the activity so that you track your time. Where are you exactly spending your time? The management assistants monitor unnecessary on an unnecessary activity. If there is never enough time to finish certain tasks, it is an indication that more time should, and that it would be for 4 marks. All of them, they are for 4 marks. And then if we are moving on again, let me indicate them so that we cannot forget as well. And then even the diary, 4 marks. Remember that a management assistant must always have a diary, and it is used to organize the daily activities in the company. It includes the management's requirement, planning, and work. Diary of the manager and the management assistants must be synchronized. Every morning, diaries must be checked, and any conflict activities or appointments should be rescheduled if the boss is not going to be available. All fixed meetings and other important recurring appointment date must be indicated and taken into consideration. And then we are saying, remind the manager every morning of the day's meeting and appointments that he must meet people. And then that is for 4 marks. If we the other question that can derive again from the question paper, we are saying they can say name 6 guidelines. I've said that these are the policies. So we are saying that a guideline is a declaration of intent to do something or to have it done. So that is a policy that can help the management assistants to cope with the interruptions in the workplace. And then we are saying, how can you manage your time? And then we are saying that work on one task at a time, start the day with a difficult task, group similar tasks, keep a list, prepare in advance, do not postpone or procrastinate, and keep your work up to date. And that it can be for a maximum of 8 marks. If we are going again to the action, which is number 3, they say name 4 tips on the correct sitting position that will help you to prevent muscle cramps and spasms in a workplace. So remember that if you are a management assistant, you spend times and hours when you are sitting at the chair, and sometimes you'll be exposed to cramps. So there is a correct sitting posture that we must adhere to. Number 1, sit up straight when typing. Keep your feet on the ground. Number 2, the lower back must be supported by the back of the chair. Number 2, time to time to stretch your muscles of your back. And then number 4, when you write, rest both elbows on the table to support the whole body. Number 5, use correct seat height is just above the knee when you stand in front of the chair. And then elbows should be at level with the working surface. Number 7, there should be a space of 10 meters between in the front of the seat and at the back of the knee. So we are saying that it can be for 14 marks. And then if ever we are moving on again, we are to see that we can be asked this question to say, suggest way on how time could be used effectively with each identified time wasters. Number 1, we are having telephone calls. Long discussion on insignificant things are not necessary. Be friendly, ask what you know, give information, but be professional to the point. No personal calls to the family and friends should ever be made from the office during the working hours. Number 2, lack of planning. Keep the daily, weekly, and monthly planning in mind. Set up a priority list accordingly and be sure to keep to it. This is a sure way to crops out. Then if ever we are moving on again, and we are to see that we have some important work while we are subscribing and telling others, we are talking about the crisis. We are saying keep as calm as possible. If there's a crisis in the work, if you cannot handle the crisis yourself, contact the right person as soon as possible. Have the information available. An example, list of important telephone numbers, manuals, and information dossier, etc. Keep in mind what will the person be able to help you via the career network, and always have their contact information at your hand. And then we go to finding the manager. Present the professional image of the company by knowing the whereabouts of the managers during the hours. Continuous communication is absolutely necessary to avoid frustrations and prevent unnecessary wasting of time. Disorganized manager, establish a good rapport with the manager. Offer to help him in originalizing his task and time better. Each time document are taken to the manager, store them in their covers, open correspondence immediately, and indicate the answers. If we are going on again, we have to see that we've got what we call unclear instructions. Make sure that the instructions from the manager is correctly understood. Immediately ask in case of uncertainty when you are uncertain or you are unsure. Doing too much, there is no sense in trying to do too much. The manager's assistant has to know that she can delegate certain tasks. Other tasks can be left over for the next day. It is better to do what you do right than to leave certain things incomplete. Do not volunteer for extra work if you know you have already a lot to do. Rather complete the task at hand to the best of your ability, and so win the trust on your manager. And then we are talking about the unnecessary tasks like sweeping office floor, cleaning the waste paper buckets, and buying refreshment for tea time is not management assistant task. Eliminate any other extra work. Make sure delegated tasks do not have to be redone. And then if ever we are going on again, we are to talk about redoing tasks. Make sure that the right thing is done at the first time, and make sure that the instruction runs correctly and to the best of your ability. When delegating a task and it was done right, but not precisely as you'd have done it, don't do it over. Okay? And then if we can go on again, we have to see that we have some other aspect that we must discuss, that we are subscribing. All right? And then if you can check very well, we'll move again to 4.1. Ensure that you are taking notes as we are going. This is the most important aspect. And then we have what we call a planning mechanism and aids. So this is how you plan as the way that you use and better, which are called the aids. They are the supporting elements. And then you have a daily to differentiate. We've got the variety of the trade of the project, but they must be subdivided. Again, it is the repetition on what we had been doing previously. And then if ever we are moving on, if that we have given on the other, the examples of daily tasks. These are the examples of the day. Is arrange the desk calendar for tasks until the end of the day, planning of the next day work by making the desk for and the workstation before leaving. And then if ever we are moving on again, we are to see that we've got an editor to do air conditioning, arrange quiet, taking notes, consult the document and the files in the follow-up tickler system, and then consult your personal diary to see what you must do during the day, a checklist of recurring matters. And these lists, they are subdivided again into appointments, meetings, payroll dates, bill payments, tax or insurance deadline. And then if ever we are moving on again, we are to see that in this instant, you must try by all means to give your employer a reminder of the list of appointments and other activities. Prepare any material for the files the manager will need. Try, if leaving the desk, to run an errand. Do other errands at the same time. Use the telephone or email to deliver a message instead of doing it in person unless instructed to do otherwise by the manager. Keep that involved mailing or shipping. Maintain a daily to-do list on the paper or on the computer. Check off each item as it is accomplished. When new projects come in, try to complete them as soon as possible. And then prioritize the task. Consult with the manager to prioritize the task if you are busy with the task and a new one comes in. Before leaving the office to go home, make a list of what you have to do the following day. And then we say that we must also know all those included. And then if we are to go again, we are to see that we have put away all your work and work in progress files either on the desk drawers or in the file cabinet. It is especially sensitive. Client list accounting records should be put away in the locked file cabinet. And then as a routine activity, you should keep your work area clean. Clean out your desk drawers regularly. Your computer and other office equipment should be cleaned using a slightly damp towel. Schedule regular services for all office maintenance program. And then if ever we are moving on again, we are to see that the other question can arise. It can ask you, you are required to use all the information in regard to planning and mechanism as per discussed. So the student, you have to follow the knowledge of the theoretical sections mentioned under the time at the task, the diary, and all this system. But this is just a work that you must present it in class. It is not applicable in the. And then one important thing that can be asked again in the examination, it is to say, name. The examination can say, name and discuss 6 types of the desk organizers. And then that would be for 12 marks. Number 1, urgent task file. We are saying these tasks must be dealt with in the first and to be completed. Dictating file, all typing files and business letters. Task files, the priority list or to-do list of a relevant task and document. Then we've got the review file. It contains information of interest but not important. A filing file, all document to be filed. And then we've got what we call discard file. We say usual information, the review file that is no longer relevant and can be thrown away. If we are moving on again, we are to see that we can go again to the last question, which can arise again, and it can be for 10 marks. It can say, explain how the manager's assistant schedules and control appointment times of the manager. So this person is responsible to allocate a time for the manager so that he can meet with those particular people. And then we are saying scheduling and controlling appointment at times. We are saying do not make appointments for the manager at times set aside for management style. Certain times are considered not to be effective for meetings. Monday mornings, public holidays, immediately prior to lunchtime, and late in the afternoon when concentration levels often drop. Keep appointments duration time limit. Do not block out several hours. If a meeting does run over, it will not be considered that a waste of time. Choose days and times carefully. Always check the other events of the day or week around the proposed appointment to determine whether the appropriate time. And lastly, you need to ensure that you must remember that the manager has other priorities and commitments throughout the day, and that it can be for 10 marks. I'm saying for me and my crew, thank you very much for tuning on at this Meristocratic channel. Ensure that you hit the subscription button and share to others, and tune on for the next video. Thank you.